Acolytes. A male ethnist freaked out. Who would have thought that this could ever happen, Acolytes? Well, I did. Everybody, well, every normal human being did. Knew it exactly, but let's just see what Riff has to say about this Marvel problem.
Hey, what's up, guys? Riff here. So Marvel Rivals continues to do what it does best, and that is provide fun gameplay and appealing character designs to go with it. And that includes both appealing designs of male characters as well as female characters. Now, recently, Marvel Rivals announced one of their upcoming...
By the way, I didn't play Marvel Rivals. I'm not a shooter fan. I played it for a few hours, not my type of thing. But the freaking models in it, beautiful. Beautiful. And the gameplay itself is very, very fluid. Especially the little shark thing that spits on everyone.
Heroes that will be released on April 11th, and that is Emma Frost. And as you can see very shortly here, there's a lot of hype surrounding this character, and I think the reasons are
I see the
obvious.
reasons.
A lot of people are very impressed with the design here, and it's not anything too new for Marvel Rivals. You can see a more still image here. I think it goes without saying a lot of people are looking forward to getting this hero and some of the skins that'll go with it. And the excitement has definitely boiled over. Some people are really wiling out over this one. If you search up the name Emma Frost, you're going to find literally hundreds of pieces of artwork already, and people are very happy. But also, people are very angry.
Let me tell what part of humanity is angry about it. Of course, the effing Karens. The freaking produced fabric Karens.
They're accusing Marvel Rivals of many things, of sexism, of racism even, and they're going to the ultimate crime, which is the worst word that Zoomers have ever discovered, and that is gooner bait and things.
Didn't they also call them Batsies? I mean, they definitively called them Batsies. That's impossible that they didn't.
Like that. But anyways, you see this reply right here saying, sorry, but I find it way too explicit. It's not really appropriate for a video game. They're not even saying for Marvel Rivals. They're saying for video games in general. And they continue, sure, this character is often dressed like this in the comics, but nowadays, very few kids read comics, whereas many of them play video games, especially when they're free. First of all, if we're talking about actual children here, they should not be playing Marvel Rivals in the first place. But this whole sentiment right here is very, well, depressing. But also true. Very few kids are reading comic books, and as that reality is...
But the reality is that the freaking comic books just suck these days. So I'm not surprised. And if you find it too explicit, don't play the game. And don't argue that people who shouldn't play the game see the game. Yeah, I'm all for child protection, but for F's sake, at some point you just have to say, okay, the parent is responsible for their actions, and not letting a kid play a game they shouldn't play, definitively a parent thing.
We shouldn't cater to it with video games. Like, why would you cater to people not reading the comics? And on top of that, a part of me doesn't blame them, because anything recent
the Dogs of War
Marvel comics is probably...
Can you hear the Dogs of War? They're at it again. I love those fuckers, but if they start, you just cannot stop them. At least for a certain time.
Garbage anyways, but let's continue on with this as an example of one.
I mean, I have... Interesting. Very, very interesting. Why would this be so popular? I just don't know why. I cannot imagine why this depiction of a sexy woman would be in any kind of way appealing. I hope the sarcasm went through.
Of the outfits she has worn. It is pretty much a one-to-one match with what we're looking at with the hero in Marvel Rivals. And you can see another version here. It lines up, but people are not happy. You can see this user saying, insane gooner bait. People will say it's comic accurate. That's cool.
You know what? I actually finally started to realize how I can abuse the Gunner thing. If I see in the comments that somebody calls someone Gunner, I instantly ban them. Because then you basically get people like this. And I don't want to deal with people like this. I also don't want you, acolytes, to deal with people like this. Because it's unnecessary. Fuck them. And if they call someone Gunner, I look twice on the person just to see if that person is actually a quite normal human being that you can talk with, acolytes. This is just freaking embarrassing. Like, just abuse their weapons against them in your own way.
But it doesn't change the statement. Well, yeah, I think it is important to be comic accurate, because if this wasn't comic accurate, people would be very, very angry and saying that Marvel Rivals is making a sexist outfit here and yada, yada, yada. But people overusing the term gooner is just exhausting. I remember years ago when if you called someone a gooner, it meant like they're in their house 20...
Yeah, that's... For F's sake, good. If you... Or as I understood Red, I don't know if he just said it just to show a point, or if he truly doesn't understand it. But like with games, like with fiction, like with anything to do with entertainment right now, people just take it, or the Karen squad just takes it and does bad things with it, just so you cannot enjoy it anymore. Gunner or words are the same things. Exactly one-to-one the same. It gets overused, it loses its meaning, and gets basically worthless as a word. That just happens. Just as I said, not even 5 minutes ago, use it as a detection tool. That's way more productive and better for your health.
24/7 with 10 monitors playing at the same time while they jay off their entire life. Like, that was what it meant. Now it's just guy who plays Marvel Rivals, or guy who has a healthy libido. That's what it's been reduced to by users like this. Yeah. And of course, you have more users expressing their concern and getting thousands of supporters saying, okay, this is just getting weird now. The over-sexualization of women in this game needs to stop. Ooh, we got a male feminist, but not just any male feminist here. A male feminist who's protecting female drawings. Yeah.
What you gonna do against it? I just gonna sick a Benji on you and you're gonna shut up. Simple as that.
Yes, protecting thy lady in its fictional status. This is just very, very sad that people are so afraid of a little skin in a video game. And of course,
it's fine.
You know, people raise the point here. You know, people used to just see a bad bitch and go on about their day. Now we got to sit through 100 think pieces on why men should be sexualized equally. Now, I'm an equal opportunity person when it comes to fan service in games. If you want to sexualize female characters, that's cool. You should also be able to do the same for male characters if that's your preference. It should be equal. If people want to enjoy appealing character designs, everyone should have their preference catered to, whether it's a male character or a female character. I think that is a thing people should be able to agree on. But of course, with Marvel Rivals, they have examples of heroes with very revealing outfits. In fact, I think there's more skin showing here than there is with Emma Frost.
The thing is, it was always that way before the Karen wave came in. I never ever heard any one of my female friends complaining about a male character not looking sexy. Never happened. They look for something different in a character than me, but I never heard any complaints about it. It's just the last, 2 decades where Karens took over.
In other female
But this flip disturbs me. What the fuck? What is this? Is this like a muscle of a muscle?
Characters. But of course, our boy Nathan here, previous user, who was complaining about the over-sexualization, would continue on and address that point I just made by saying, and can we stop this dumb comparison acting like these are similar? Both of these men have no cheeks out on display, so please be silent. So I guess a character's only being sexualized if their cheeks are out? Yeah, I don't know. He pulls up basically the two worst examples of male characters, and apparently those are not in any way comparable to what we see on the left. Makes no sense.
And he still doesn't even show the cheeks of them. Of none of them. And uses this argument as, yeah, you can see. Oh, for fuck's sake.
But of course, we're talking about cheeks out. I mean, just like 2 seconds ago, they released a twerking Venom. His cheeks are out. I don't see you complaining about that or comparing it to what you're complaining about. But anyways, Legendary Drops makes a good point that I didn't think of. So he says in response, love seeing dudes saying we need to stop sexualizing female characters while girls celebrate the designs and cosplay them. Truly, we live in a world. And I think that's a very fair point to make.
Yep.
You will see within days hundreds of women cosplaying as Emma Frost based on the Marvel Rivals design. So I don't really know where people get off kind of telling women what they can or can't do or what they should or shouldn't do, especially when they're basically giving this aura of a male feminist, which is so typical, right? The male feminist actually being a lot more regressive than they are progressive. But also, I saw this and it reminded me of the previous one. This person said, I don't think anyone will successfully pull off this cosplay. That's bait. This guy's playing 4D chess, by the way. I see what this guy's doing. He's trying to get cosplayers to do that in the replies, to show it off. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. And
I'm gonna be honest. I think I have to copy it. This is a very good bait.
I can say I respect the game. But let's go back to that previous user who is confronted because it's an account that is standing for Scarlet Witch, right? And someone says, well, one day Wanda's going to get put in the game eventually, right? And they're going to probably give her a very appealing design. And this is his response. Why the hell would I want to see Wanda over-sexualized? That makes me so uncomfortable. She deserves to be respected. And then this person says, why does sexy equal not respected? And they say, it doesn't. If it's what the person chooses for themselves, which a character obviously can't, but it's when men specifically do it just to fulfill their needs is when they start to no longer respect her as a character. Oh, God. We're talking about respecting fictional characters. We have to show respect to drawings. Are you kidding me? And this is their argument. They're separating it from real women and fictional women. They're saying because fictional characters don't have autonomy that we have to respect them in this sort of manner. It's absolutely insane.
Don't get me wrong, because even if it's a fictional character, it's still, even if it's in a film or a game or somewhere else, it always beats out to reality at some point or to a certain degree. I mean, just take anime, it's, there are some men that actually wish for the extremes, or even women who actually act upon extremes or also wish for the extremes. That's just a fact. But a character who dresses sexy, shows his power, her power in this case, and just goes out full of Selbstvertrauen, and just goes in and does shit, isn't a bad character. This is something that I want for the women in my life. I want them to be perfectly fine with themselves, dress as the fuck they want, and just go out and do how they wish, or I mean to a certain degree, of course, not the bad things, but just put themselves out there and be just normal human beings, not joining the Karen crowd like you do. Kurwa mać, this is just F it, I'm gonna start just saying everything in Polish at some point.
Lady, thy fictional lady, I will respect thee. Like, this is some of the saddest energy I've seen in a minute. But also, we have some other comments similar saying, yeah, no, this is too much. This is a game where you kill enemies and stuff. I don't need to see this. If I did, I'd just play one of those poontang games that virgins play to help them jay off since they can't get a girlfriend, announcing my departure like an airport and uninstalling. Respect. Okay, this person's self-aware. I have to give it to them. They're actually self-aware. Yes. I mean, they're implying these sorts of games are for them, but also they make their preferences clear. They don't want to see this stuff in the game, and they're leaving. And if I hadn't read this last sentence, you know what my next words out of my mouth would have been? This isn't an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. And that's exactly what they address. So I guess kudos to this user for having some self-awareness.
Yeah.
But let's continue on. Some people...
And good, they can after... They just can go. Perfect.
People are not happy about these designs, as I've said. This person's saying this game is genuine ass. Yeah, it's a whole lot of ass, okay? I guess you don't like that. Here's another one saying, Gooner devs. They had many better options, but they always choose this type of skin. Yeah, they're choosing what's going to make them a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, and that includes the male design.
Imagine choosing the thing that makes you a lot of money. How corrupt are we here? Give me your souls.
They want to give appealing designs so people will pay for skins. It's a business. And clearly a lot of people like it. You're in the minority here. I don't know if this person is aware of that. But of course, people don't like the design, including this user saying, she's ugly, I hate R words. Well, I think we all agree with this sentiment right here, but what does this have to do with this design? Am I missing some critical lore? Am I a true tourist here? Am I missing something? Very confusing. Here's another one saying, is she trans? This is an amazing moment and the absolute state of Twitter where I don't know if this person's trying to make a burn or they're trying to make some sort of a self-insert or like some kind of a projection here that they want to see a trans character, like they're genuinely wanting it to be. Yeah, I don't know. Twitter's done.
I go for the self-fetish, for the fetish thing.
That to people. This is at the very least a backhanded comment, I guess. But let's move on. Another one saying Marvel Rivals obsessed with white characters. Of course. This is about race. Yes. Of course it is. Somehow. Well, unfortunately for this user, if you actually have eyeballs and you search around the game, you'll find multiple black characters, multiple Hispanic characters, multiple Asian characters, and on and on and on. Like, you're not even trying. Like, this is just, like, bait at this point. It's got to be bait, right? Speaking of, here's another post saying...
by the way, after they have enough movies, games with, with characters that aren't white, so just get the fuck out of my... Let my white characters just be white characters. Thank you.
This is just so... Like, they know what they're doing at this point, and it's gross. It is gross to make appealing character designs that people might be interested in. Yes, Marvel Rivals knows what they're doing at this point. It's very obvious. Random afternoon, months after release, still 172,000 in-game players. This game is doing really well, and obviously on the 11th, when this comes out, it's going to be a giant spike once again. People are very excited about this game. It's going to be in here for a long haul, as it appears. But there were some comparisons being made, and I don't know why these people would ever want these comparisons to be made, because it's the ultimate self-sabotage. Again, another post, don't know if it's bait or not, because it's just the status of Twitter right now, but they say, wow, Overwatch has buried Rivals so deep in the past months that they now have to put out naked skins to attract a player base. Again, I don't know if it's bait or not. I'm just working with what I got here. I'm not a mind reader.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, he actually shows it. Yeah, that's... Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
But that's not a comparison you want to make. Are we kidding me? Like 29,000 in-game players versus almost 200,000 and they had their recent season come out a few months ago. They got a little breath of fresh life here, and then it just tapered right off to now. And it's an all-time low for Overwatch 2, which has always been a disappointment literally since day one, and it's going to continue to be one, and the people defending Overwatch 2 is crazy. Here's another one. I never want to hear people say Overwatch gooner baits ever again. Well, you should be happy people are talking about Overwatch 2 in any capacity at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, like, are we really saying there's none of that stuff going on with Overwatch? Like, do you understand there's probably more people watching Overwatch Poontang right now than there are people playing Overwatch 2? I'm not even sure if that's impressive or pathetic or both. I don't really know, but that is the state of Overwatch 2 right now. It's just not very good. But people are also comparing this design to a parallel in Fortnite, which I think is a bit of an unfair comparison. I don't think the Fortnite one looks that terrible, and it's less skin, but also it's Fortnite. What are we talking about here? Like, I don't think they're really going for the same type of designs as Marvel Rivals, but
that's why I don't play Fortnite. That's why I still... Okay, I don't play Fortnite because I don't like shooter games, but this design actually, slowly but surely, gives me good reasons to actually start.
The inevitable comparison comes right here. This person saying, I can't imagine why Rivals has been making bank while Concord didn't last 2 weeks. Make whatever you want, but if your budget is in the tens of millions and you had damn well better be making something people actually want to buy. And this side-by-side comparison and these similar comparisons will continue forever. Concord has made itself basically the anchor point, the comparison point for every game that comes out with their character designs. They become the comparison point, and it's always an L for Concord. It's either an L for Concord, or it just shows that the other game looks really bad too. And in this case, Marvel Rivals clears it by a mile. We all know that, including with characters that are black, for example. But anyways, that is the latest on Marvel Rivals, and more people crying and pissing their pants over appealing character designs on Twitter. Hey, what's new? But that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm happy that Marvel Rivals actually does good. That's a fantastic thing. I mean, they deserve it. They actually cater to their fans. They actually try to do a relatively good monetization, as I remember, or from what I've heard, it's fine. And the characters are just fun. They just have personality. You can look up any video, any YouTube video on it, and no matter which character is on this, you just see a character full of energy, full of movement, full of just being there. And maybe, if you're lucky, you see a Rocket Raccoon jumping on freaking Groot's back and just shooting like a little, well, red raccoon. He's a raccoon, I know. But, as it is, acolytes, good night.